Let's get some checks on everybody. Make sure we're working. Talk.
Hey, how's it going?
Check.
Cool. It sounds like it's fucking working to me. Let's do it. Hello and welcome to Start the Beat with Sykes. My name is Sykes and this is my podcast. Before we get started, I just wanted to take a quick moment to thank everyone who checked out the last episode. If you're one of the people who listened to that conversation, I hope you enjoyed it and thanks so much for coming back. But for those of you out there who are new to the show, welcome. Please feel free to make yourselves at home. And as always, there's beer and soda in the fridge. Cheers, my friends.
Cheers.
How tight would it be if we had like little urns?
Oh, this would be so good.
Yeah, it'd be
with
sweet.
smoke.
That'd be fucking brutal.
Smoke and like neon light coming out of them. Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds like some shit right there. I'm into it. We should do that. Today, I'm sitting here with my new friends and pals. 2/4 or 5ths? How many people are in your fucking band?
2/4. There's 4. Yes.
2/4 of the band Urns. Make some noise for the internet.
What's up, guys?
Yeah.
We're ready to start the beat.
Hell yeah. That's what's up.
Excellent!
Oh shit.
Tight. The Bill
all
and Ted soundboard's new. I'm working on it.
Yeah, I didn't hear that yet. That's good.
Yeah, that's new. Dropped. Exclusive. Just for you.
Gotta have the sound drops.
So,
You got Socrates in there?
not yet. I only got through the first little chunks of the movie. I gotta
Oh, nice.
go through the whole
nice.
thing. You know,
That's what's up. That's
we'll get
what's
there.
up.
We'll get there. So, introduce yourselves. Let everybody know what you do, who you are, and all that stuff.
I'm Mitch. I play guitar and recently starting to add some synthesizers to stuff, and I do that too.
Nice keyboards.
I'm Mike. I sing. I play guitar, and I started the band. I guess I guess you can call me the mastermind, the genius behind Urns, whatever you want.
Iron Maiden? Excellent!
Yeah, I'd say so.
So, Urns, you start a band. Why?
Well, for me, I had been playing in probably some stuff that no one's heard of from like '07 to 2011. I had a little kind of tongue-in-cheek space rock get up going called Chrononaut, and it was kind of grungy, kind of spacey, to like 2 guitar vocal harmony thing. So after that, I was jumping around a lot, just playing in my friends' projects here and there, but like just looking for a long time for like my next project that I like am serious about to sink my teeth into. So I just wrote I wrote a set. I got tired of jamming with other musicians for like a few weeks in a row, and you're not sure if like, are we a band? Should we try to book a gig?
Yeah.
What are we doing here? You know?
It's been a long time since I've been in that position, but I definitely remember a time when there was a lot of just like hanging out in the basement a lot.
Yeah.
Like, we'll figure out the band name later. We have these songs. The songs don't have names.
Of course you don't have the band name.
It's just a thing that we're doing. It's just weird after a while.
Exactly. It's like, hey, I have this space. You want to try to play? And it's, 4 or 5 groups of people later, I'm like, how do I make this stick?
Yeah.
I want a band that exists and is going to exist for a while.
I think you got to have the end goal in mind. It's funny now. It's like always, I can't do anything without thinking 15 fucking steps ahead. It's a bit of a problem.
There needs to be some, well, for me, I work, and a lot of people, I would say, but for me, I work decently under a deadline. And when you're starting a band, you never have deadlines because you don't know where it's going to go. You usually feel it out.
Yeah, sometimes people are playing music to avoid deadlines and responsibilities.
Yeah.
They don't fucks with the business. But eventually it creeps its way in, whether you like it or not. If you want to start playing shows and releasing records, which you just did, congratulations. That's very, very excellent.
Yes, a couple weeks ago at Howlers, we released our self-titled debut. Was a long time coming, but it feels good, doesn't it, Mitch?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mitch, pull the mic a little bit closer to you so the world can hear you.
Yeah. So
Thanks.
when we were when I started Urns, I was in that situation where I'm jumping around on other people's bands and I having a fine time, but like I'm not, I like to write music and mostly I was just playing other people's stuff. So I wrote a whole set of music that I wanted my next band to sound like. And once I was confident that the songs were good and finished, I'm 34, and I was approaching then my 30th birthday, and I knew at the beginning of the year, I'm like, on my 30th birthday, I want to play a show for my friends. So it was coming up. I had the music written. I booked the show. I asked my friend's band Ape from Philly if they would come over to, play the Urns debut show. We asked this band Gang Wish. It's got Sam Pace, who still plays in Come Holy Spirit. That was his project at the time. And this band General Fantasy, who our drummer Rick, that was his other band at the time. And
so did you have a band at this moment to play the songs?
I booked that show and I asked Justin Gizzy, who, if you know anything about heavy music in Pittsburgh, you probably know Justin Gizzy. He had been asking me when I would run into him here and there, like, hey, if you ever want to get anything together. So he was a fan of Chrononaut, one of the few, even though the band wasn't like significant, it was good enough to get someone's attention who, would be a collaborator of mine down the road. So for any aspiring musicians out there playing to small crowds and basements or whatever, just keep going, because you don't know who you're gonna meet, who you're gonna work with.
Totally.
You can level up from there.
Absolutely. The thing that a lot of people overlook, and it's a big fuck up to overlook this as an underground musician, independent artist. If you're playing a show and there's only, 5 fucking people there, that sucks. It sucks.
Yeah.
But those people are there because they want to be there. They're the few people that actually bother to get off their ass, leave the house, and come watch you play.
It's pretty important.
So give them a show.
Yeah.
Make a friend.
That's what you're there for.
Yeah.
It's like if you're like really bothered that there aren't that many people there, it's like, well, what did you really get into this for? I can understand the disappointment if you like promoted something super hard and there aren't that many people there, but at the same time, on the other side of the coin, be grateful for those people who are there. Sometimes playing a show in front of 7 people can lead to real opportunities.
Absolutely. Probably more opportunities than playing, the Deutschtown Music Festival.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
like 200 strangers that are just like, where's the hot dog truck at?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's pretty much it.
Playing with my old band Chrononaut, we played a show one time at the Smiling Moose, opening for a band from Brooklyn called Wizardry. Wizardry played second, and there were a handful of people there, and it was a kind of a late show. But once it came time for us to play, we were playing last. The opening band had left. They were like, we don't care about getting paid. We're just going to leave. And everyone but like 2 of my friends, the bartender, the sound guy, and the touring band had gone. So there were just like 8 people there. And we ended up playing one of our best shows, and it was just for 8 people. But the touring band were really impressed. And over the years, they came through a couple more times and stayed with me and like made some pretty cool friendships with these people. And they live in New York. When I go to New York, you know, I hit them up and hang out, but like they offered to set up shows for Chrononaut in, you know, one in Brooklyn, one in Manhattan. And while we never ended up touring, that was like
A connection that you made.
yeah, that's if that band had been more serious, that's a great opportunity to play a couple shows in New York. So yeah, just anytime you have the opportunity to play a show, it's like do it good because you don't know what can come out of it, even if it's a really small crowd.
Yeah, and I've said this before on the show, but if you get an opportunity to play a show and you don't want to play the show, then don't fucking play the show because you don't have to.
Yeah.
You don't have to play. If you're like, oh, whatever, you know, I don't want to play the Moose again, that's fine. Don't. You're not obligated to. Just don't come in there with your shitty energy and your lack of giving a shit because it's going to make everybody there feel weird and it just makes going to local shows seem bad. Like, what if somebody there is just like, you know, I'm going to go to a local show. I'm going to see what all the hubbub's about. And then you're there with your fucking shit energy. And it's like, well, this sucks. I'm not coming back out to one of these.
Acting entitled to have fans, to have people's attention. That's a privilege. That's like a huge privilege. No one's entitled to that.
Totally. Yeah. With you and Urns now, so a few years in, got the album out, you're playing shows. Seems like, you know, things are a little bit more serious than maybe your previous project.
Yep. I mean, way more serious. Yeah, like infinitely more serious. Like an actual website with a web store.
Wow.
Like didn't have
commerce.
Anything. We had a MySpace for Chrononaut.
Killer.
And I started that MySpace on 6606.
Hell yeah, you did.
So I'm pretty disappointed that MySpace isn't popular anymore because it says right there when you joined 6606. If it was still popular, I would have repurposed that page for Urns, obviously.
With 2019, current time we're living in, year of our Lord, how are you dealing with just being in a band and fucking with Instagram and Facebook and social media? Because it's an unfortunately important part of it. How obligated do you feel to participate in the social media world?
I mean, it makes it feel more competitive, but I think that might be an illusion, kind of. Like, I'm fine having that be a necessity because, you know, it's the same for everyone. But I mean, we have a Twitter that I just started with like 7 followers, by the way.
Hell yeah.
At PGH Urns.
I don't have a Twitter.
Yeah, Mitch doesn't fuck with Twitter.
I have an Instagram.
Yeah. And then we're official Urns on Instagram. So, I mean, it's cool to like post stuff that we're working on. Like recently, Mitch has been doing that.
Yeah, like it's good, you know, to get people's attention, like, because you hashtag stuff and people love gear and heavy metal. So you hashtag whatever gear you're using. You get so many people that don't know you to, you know, watch your story or your post or whatever. I think that's a good way to grab people's attention.
Yeah, first they thirst after your gear.
Yeah.
They're like, let's see what this guy can do with this.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted one of those expensive guitars that Mitch owns 20 of.
I have a gear problem. I'm obsessed with acquiring and amassing.
At that moment, you were like,
lot of gear.
I have a gear. And then in your head, you were like, fetish? No.
But
problem.
A problem, yeah. I'm addicted. Every time I get a new guitar, I'm like, that's the last one for a couple years. And then 2 months later, I'm getting another one. And I don't sell anything off. So you can't even walk around my house. It's bad.
Well, you know what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
And you're living your passion.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
But to talk about the social media, when Mitch is talking about just like getting people's attention, I think it's important to continue to be in people's minds, or else, so if people know that you're a musician, they'll ask you, like, hey, what have you been up to with music recently? And I've experienced this a couple times where I mentioned Urns, and I had some people be like, "Oh, Urns is still around?" It's like, yeah. Well, we were on a hiatus on purpose.
Yeah, sure.
Like,
My a similar thing would be whenever I was transitioning and getting the band for Sykes and the New Violence.
yeah.
It would be like 2-3 years in, and people were like, "Hey, like, you still playing shows and stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah, I have a
haven't
band and
stopped.
everything." You like my posts that I post of the band on Facebook? Are you like not paying attention to things, or is it just
It's in
there's
people's
some loose wires?
self-conscious.
It's so weird.
Yeah. It's people don't always connect what they're seeing online with real life. Yeah. But like to post, to let people know what you're up to, what you're working on, whether that's with the music, with we've been getting into using stage art.
Yeah, we want to have more of like, a visual, like a show, like,
Hell yeah,
King Diamond's sweet. So
Yeah, that theatrical
Yeah.
element.
totally. I get behind that 1,000%.
But make sure the music is good.
yeah,
And then
That's
focus on the theatrical
yeah,
element.
that's the important thing. It's really easy, depending on how far down the rabbit hole you go, to forget that at the end of the day, you're supposed to be a band playing songs.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
If you
the
get
main
too
thing.
caught up in all of the other stuff, it becomes this. What is this? As a
Yeah.
viewer, like, what am I looking at? What is this, a concert? Is this a stage play? Is this just like a really bad exercise and unchecked ego? What
Yeah.
is going on?
And 2 years down the line, it's like, wow, we haven't had a new song for
yeah,
how long? Because, you focus on other things where the main focus obviously should be quality of the music, quantity a little bit too,
There's so much stuff that you have to focus on now, being a band, if you're going to be serious, though.
Yeah.
There's so much extra stuff. You pretty much have to have this, like, a legit business plan, some like Coca-Cola, Orville Redenbacher level strategy. I don't know why those are the two companies I went to, but we'll just roll with it.
Orville Redenbacher's got that bow
I got
tie.
that.
That's
Got
a
that
businessy
Orville
man.
Redenbacher strategy right
Yeah.
there. That's fucking. That's a band name.
Orville
The Orville
Redenbacher
Redenbacher strategy. Yeah.
That's a jam band.
yeah.
I was thinking more like
probably playing at
like
Nelson's
early
Ledges this
Dillinger
weekend.
Escape Plan sounding type
Okay,
stuff.
yeah.
Like one of those
Like
late
minor,
90s, early
second chord.
2000s spazzy
Mathcore
yeah.
thing.
Playing
Yeah.
a bunch of like minor seconds or something weird.
It's like old daughters.
Yeah. White people jazz. I don't know.
That's hysterical.
Something like that.
So with Urns and the style of music that you're playing in Urns, speaking of, how music has changed and how, obviously styles of music, I'm sure both of you have kind of probably gone over the map in different ways, right?
In so many ways. Yeah. Like, I mean,
Mike and I are pretty like-minded when it comes to, our influences. And I think that's that's mostly what started our friendship,
yeah.
And then, but as far as writing music, we're open to pretty much anything, We don't want to be held down just having to play super sludgy, heavy riffs, If we want to have like, different stuff in there.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the synth, the keys.
I just started
Fun, get some textures in there.
I just got my first synth like a year ago, and and it's probably the most exciting thing I've got since I bought a guitar, 15 years ago.
The possibilities are
Yeah.
just so endless, and when that's what you want to be doing is like bringing music to the people, like, oh, they're gonna be so pumped up when they hear me play this. Yeah. I mean, our approach, it's like as far as like genre, like what we want things to sound like, I mean, we're obsessed with like there's the basis, there's like the pillars of Urns, and those pillars are like Judas Priest and Blue Oyster Cult, and like Boris. Boris is a big influence on me personally. You know, just all just like stoner metal stuff, Sleep and Electric Wizard and stuff. But really, like that's like. Oh, and I can't forget to mention King Diamond and Merciful Fate.
Yeah.
Obviously. But I mean, that's where for me that's like it all starts with a guitar riff. Sometimes that riff is going to sound like a metal song. Sometimes it's going to sound like a proto metal classic rock kind of
like
thing.
one of his newest songs is, it's not super heavy. I mean, but it's definitely a rocker. But
Yeah.
it's not I don't know how to explain it, but
You know, we don't have like a lot of punk influences. Recently at practice, there was a pretty funny exchange where Justin's like about 10 years older than me and Rick and Mitch. Rick's actually like the 30 or 31
yeah,
or
he
something.
just turned 30.
Where Justin was asking us about a punk band that was coming through that he was into in the early 90s. I can't remember what they were called. But, you know, we were like, no, we don't really know who that is. And Justin is like, well, you guys don't listen to punk music at all? And I'm like, Justin, when we were in school, punk music was like Blink 182. Like we thought punk was Green Day and Blink 182
And like Bouncing Souls and all that
Newfound
Irish
Glory
stuff.
and
Yeah.
Lagwagon and
Yeah.
and Irish punk, yeah.
Yeah.
We got dealt a short straw in some ways.
It got novel. Like novelty became so huge in punk music at
Mm-hmm.
that point. So like at the time, you know, learning about new music, I didn't care about punk music. I was like a guitar kid. I started playing guitar when I was like 6. So when I started to get into popular music, I cared a lot about guitar, and like if the riffs were fun to play or challenging. So something like Green Day and Blink 182 didn't grab me at all. I was already too much of a snob at the time. I mean, now I don't hate on other people's music, but back then it was like I thought it was trash.
Sure. You were listening to music for different reasons. That's all it is.
Exactly. And now it's like I like punk music now, but you know, back then
It's like eating fine dining your whole life and then somebody being like, this is a 5-piece nugget.
yeah,
What is
yeah.
this?
It still has value,
Oh,
but it's
okay.
you know,
this is nice.
it's just a different
This is a
thing.
Kit Kat bar.
Yeah, yeah.
Give me a break, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying?
And of course it wasn't lost on me that there is no metal without punk. You know, that
Sure.
metal arose from a reaction to people liking punk's energy and attitude, but wanting to add more to the musicianship aspect of it. And of course, that's where new wave of British heavy metal comes from. Big influence on us.
So
Yeah.
what was then, 6-year-old guitar nerd Mike? What was like your first musical love?
Well, for like 6-year-old me, that's a good question,
Or just-
actually.
In general.
But
I
as it goes
had
on,
Green Jello, man.
Green Jello
I
for
had that cassette because
Yeah.
the one Super Nintendo video game, they
Maximum
did the,
Carnage.
Yeah, they did the theme song. I went out and bought that cassette. Oh man, I listened to that all day.
Hell yeah.
I mean, I was big into Michael Jackson was my first like musical love, I would say. We don't have to talk about that much. But once it got into like, once I started to get into like guitar music, I remember the first like rock song that I asked my guitar instructor to teach me to play. in the 5th grade, I got a cassette tape. It was the single of the Presidents of the United States of America, Peaches.
Hell yeah.
I had that CD.
And my mom wouldn't let me get the CD because it had swears on it. But the tape, the Peaches single, only had 2 songs on it. So I brought that in for my guitar player to teach me. So Peaches was the first rock song. And then from there, it was like grunge. Like I wanted to learn Soundgarden songs, Alice in Chains songs, and a little bit like of Metallica and stuff. Because of course Metallica was enormous at the time.
Yeah.
But mostly just like Soundgarden and some Anthrax. I was into King Diamond pretty early too, thanks to Metallica and their cover of all those Merciful Fate songs. It's like one of my friends in middle school got into Merciful Fate because of the Metallica covers. He invites me over to his house. He plays the King Diamond Voodoo
Oh, that album rules.
album. And if you're watching or listening to this interview and you don't know who King Diamond is, do yourself a favor and look up any video, really. The entertainment factor is through the roof. And he sings in this high falsetto.
Putting it mildly.
Yeah. A very like an exaggerated high falsetto and just very dramatic and operatic Southern song. I was laughing the whole song.
Sure.
I was laughing through the whole entire song. Just like losing it, having a hard time breathing. I can't believe that
This is a thing.
Yeah. Like this guy cares so little about what you think about him that he'll just like scream like a banshee. Sounds like spooky ghost man.
Oh yeah.
In front of
all of the
thousands of people.
All the different voices and all the stuff.
Yeah, doing characters with his voices.
It helps once you dive into the lore a little bit and understand that there is a certain level of self-awareness and parody and almost satire that's in there. But
once you understand,
it's not like on the surface. It's just there. You just know it's there. Like this is about having fun. This really...
And creating magic too.
Yeah.
It's like King Diamond using that voice. It's like no one sings like that. So just the differentiation, and you almost feel like you're listening to the ghost of someone or like a ghoul, some spooky ghoul.
I think that's the idea, right?
Exactly. Yeah. To make that magic just by doing something different. Sometimes that's all it takes. Because that's, after all, what we're in the business. We're in the magic business. As far as I'm considered. People like music, but when it comes to putting on shows, it's like people want to see a spectacle. They want to feel like what they're seeing is something bigger than just some show at a smoky bar.
Yeah. And that's what's cool about rock. And I guess any genre of music can do this, but, with just rock music in particular, there's this capability to just be so loud and larger than life and just really command a stage. And I feel that in some aspects, we really lost that in a lot of modern rock music. And I think that's why modern rock music has shifted in the way that it has, because that I don't know. I guess it's just not cool to be a rock star anymore.
Who doesn't
it's like
wanna,
rappers are rock stars now.
Who doesn't want to plug a guitar into a giant stack of amplifier cabinets? I mean, that's like one of the greatest feelings in the world.
Yeah, all this, so much power behind you. It's just like surging through the room. I remember one of my first live performances. It was in the Franklin Mall, now known as the Washington Crown Center.
Shout outs.
I think I was in the 6th grade, and in the food court, a stage was set up to have, some talent showcase for local kids or whatever. And I just went up and played my guitar. I played Stone Temple Pilots' song Plush, just by myself on a stage in a food court. I had just like this shitty like $30 Arian distortion pedal that I just had cranked, and just like right in the right in the front, out of like a Radio Shack practice amp. It was not loud, and right out in the front, there's this old lady with her fingers in her ears, as the kids, the teenagers, and whatever in the we used to have these things called video arcades. Start to slowly trickle out, and hearing these spicy jams coming out of this 12-year-old kid's amp, just Stone Temple Pilots Plush. Everyone liked that song back in the day. But like that's what a little bit what we're talking about when it comes to a performance. It's like the bringing the volume. There's a lot to it. There's the when it comes to the magic aspect, I think younger people see how abrasive it can be to the older generation, and they want to embrace that. So if it's something like volume, if it's like imagery, like we use a lot of like anti-Christian and like weed imagery,
Sure.
like it makes people feel bad or rebellious. And that's part of the whole magic. It's like you're creating something more than just sounds. The sounds are greater than the sum of their parts. And part of that in rock music is the volume. I was at a show the other day where it was a good show, but in between songs and even during songs, I could hear people just chattering and chit-chatting away. I feel like I would get really distracted on stage if that was the case for me.
Is that because it just wasn't loud?
It wasn't that loud, yeah.
Yeah.
And you're never going to have people talking to each other during an Urns set unless it's like outdoors and we can't possibly fill.
Or they're complimenting my sweet guitar solo.
Yeah. Just like. So, yeah, I think that's part of it too, is like why the experience of a rock show, why the bands demand so much attention is because you can't talk to each other. So that's another reason why I want our stage show to be well developed, to like grab and hold people's attention. You don't want anyone to get bored, and you want people to talk about it to their friends after the show.
Yeah. And if it's your art and you have a certain way that you want to present that art to the world, you should just fucking go for it, regardless of, whether it's a production or if it's just, nope, this is 4 people on a stage, no lights, no fanciness, nothing.
That's like what David Byrne said. Why not?
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Look, and it's a small point of contention in the band where like Justin is really like no nonsense.
He's a purist.
Yeah.
He's a workman-like musician. Like he comes in and he does the work.
But if it wasn't for him, we probably wouldn't get a lot done.
Yeah, we probably wouldn't even exist.
Kind of like, keeps us all in line and keeps our minds on a certain path.
I don't think we would exist still without Justin.
Because I think, he has more focus than the rest of us.
But I'm thankful that he allows us to indulge these the more superfluous aspects of performance. Like I painted a bunch of skulls with black light reactive paint, and I have black lights in a smoke machine and stuff. And Justin wasn't that excited about that, but like for me, it's as much about getting me excited to perform and like getting hyped up as it is to get the crowd to feel like that. And you recently interviewed a professional wrestler that I'm familiar with, Jinx, who wrestles around here. And I think she talked a little bit about the performance, and I agreed so much with her that like about a year ago, I go to a lot of wrestling. I thought about how sometimes playing with Urns, I'd be on the stage at the beginning of a set, tuning, and people were waiting for you to play. All right, we're ready to play. Then I just get up into the mic, still tuning a little bit, like, "Oh, hey everyone, this is Urns. Here's a song about a vampire lady. Thanks for coming."
Yeah.
I'm not pumped up yet. The crowd hopefully is very stoned because this is like weed music. So like hopefully they're very stoned, but even if they are stoned, they're not like hyped up yet. They're not excited yet. You kind of like have to make that happen with the performance. So I thought, like, how do I get myself into it at the beginning of the set? And maybe the crowd is like immediately into it and they're not like kind of like waiting to see something to get them going.
Yeah.
I thought like the wrestling entrance is one of the most effective ways to pump up a crowd I've seen in any type of performance. They hear the music hit, and if the crowd is familiar with the product, they'll hear the music, they'll get excited to see whatever wrestler is associated with that music. They get the pop when they walk out. That gets the wrestler excited. Everyone's ready to see.
Everybody's
a
just
match.
yelling.
Yeah.
Everybody's just yelling.
Everyone's just yelling. If it's a good guy, they're like, "Yeah." If it's a heel, like, "Go back to Canada, boo." Because, if you're from Canada, you're a heel. So, like, people are fired up right away. And I saw that. I thought about that. And I'm like, why don't we just add, like, a wrestling style entrance to our performances so I can, like, start with some fire rather than just, like, having to convince myself throughout the set, hey, this sounds pretty good.
Yeah. I think that it's really interesting. And none of us are in a position to have like roadies or people that set up the stuff for us.
Yeah.
And you kind of get that if you go see
I think
King Diamond or something like that. They're not like out there putting up all their gear. It kind of like ruins it. But like, the lights dim and then everything comes on and holy shit, everybody we came here to see is here.
Yeah.
They're awesome. But when it's just like, you're at Howlers and
Howlers,
it's like, well,
Rock
okay,
Room,
we've been all in the same room for the past 2 hours and now you're getting tired and now you're watching me, restring my guitar and then we're going to play, like dumb shit. It's just like, okay.
Yeah. And so this
like
goes back to
humanizes
magic.
everything too much.
Exactly. And that sucks the magic out of it.
Yeah.
I think about it all in magic.
I went there like 2 hours early and set all my shit up and then just like hung out because I brought a lot of stuff and it was
our first
heavy.
show.
You don't want to see me up there sweating, wiping the sweat off my brow. I just loaded everything in.
That's our first show with the synthesizers.
Yeah.
That was that show too. Yeah.
And we're still working on, the entrance. Because that was like off the cuff. I just came up with a sequence and played a little bit of Moog bass. And
the entrance was Mitch starts on the stage playing some spooky synth, and that's like our entrance theme, like like a John Carpenter sounding types, like a soundtrack, spooky soundtrack. And my idea was I have all these animal skulls. My family lives on a farm in Washington, PA, so I can get my hands on some goat skulls every once in a while. So I painted those up with like designs and that black light reactive paint. Mitch plays the spooky entrance. Rick and I came out from the sound guy's booth through the audience. I'm wearing a goat skull on my face. Like a leather vest. I have a vampire cape. Rick's got a goat skull as well. And, get up to the front of the stage, motion to the audience with the skull, and set it down in front of the black light and just get up on stage and play. I'm more pumped up than if I just like tuned and started.
Oh, hell yeah.
And even if it's kind of silly, like people might talk about it. The people talk about it to each other. You want that.
People that came to the show from work were like, "What the hell was that?"
You had people from work.
You don't have to understand it.
Yeah, you had people from work. That's great. We want to reach the masses. Open some minds.
It's always fun when people from your day life find out that
Yeah,
you're in a band or whatever.
How weird you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your day job gig?
I'm a crane operator for
Okay.
local 66
Tight.
operating engineers.
Yeah, he's our financier.
Yeah. I do a lot of financing for the band too.
Yeah. I mean,
Fronting money for it.
it's not like we're a huge operation,
No.
but getting vinyl made isn't cheap.
No, it's not. I
And-
saw your record at the government center.
Oh, nice. They got it up there. Good.
Yeah, it was on the wall. Local music. I was like, hey,
Local,
I'm meeting,
fresh.
I'm meeting those guys soon.
Organic. And you know what? That record, despite being produced physically in the Czech Republic, that's a union made record right there. We we used Jason Juver and Plus Minus studio in the South Side, and he works at his union rate. Is in the IOTC, the engineers. What is that one? It's like stagehands union
Yeah,
or
he's
something.
part of the stage. He's a boom mic operator.
Yeah,
I think is what he does.
like Mine Hunter and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, basically, aside from the Czech production, which I gotta think that the EU has better labor laws than the US, so maybe it's better that we made it over there anyway.
Happy Labor Day.
Yeah. Hey, so this is a pretty pro union record if you overlook the Czech part of it. So, we got that going for us. Yeah, and I got to say I'm thankful for places like, of course, Dave's Music Mind has been around forever, but places like Government Center, Cruel Noise Music, and Polish Hill, very eager to just put our record on the shelves. Like, really no convincing needed.
Yeah.
And I'm happy for that for sure.
No, it's super cool to have local businesses that are supporting, the local bands, and it gets, gets people in the doors. It gets, more people seeing your stuff, even if like they're not going to buy it. It's like local music. It's always cool to see like a local selection of bands that have records, like physical records, not just like a CDR or something, which nothing wrong with that, not knocking your hustle, but it's cool to see bands taking that extra initiative to, participate in the physical realm.
It really is worth it. Like,
With
vinyl is so much better.
Though, like vinyl is almost a must-have for a platform on release, because nobody wants to buy a CD that much anymore, especially like I said, the style of music we play. So we had to have a vinyl record to remain relevant, I think.
Yeah.
And all the layered guitars, like that's the star of the show, is the layered guitars and how they interact with each other. And it's just so much more clear and enjoyable on vinyl. Recently, I had a discussion with someone who was very skeptical about if vinyl actually does sound better than a CD. And anyone who has listened to something on both back to back to compare and contrast, it's extremely clear how much better vinyl sounds. Like, sure, a CD can fit more data on it, but that doesn't mean it is reproducing the sound, the original sound, as much as a vinyl does. So, like, more data doesn't equal better sound.
You could shape the sound through your stereo better with vinyl. Like, you could put some reverb on it or something, So, whereas, like, you put in your car, you're not going to turn the reverb up a little bit on your...
Yeah.
Does your car have a reverb knob?
Sweet if it did. It's got a reverb tank, actually. It's spring reverb. So when you're driving, it clangs and no good.
But things
No,
like
but my receiver or amplifier for my record player has like reverb on it, which is cool.
Yeah.
things
So-
like vocal harmony sound so much more pronounced on vinyl. And there's a song that we do. It's the first song on side B of our record called Charred Senses, where there are some nice, clean vocal harmonies happening. And just with my first listen through when we got the vinyl, because I had been listening to the CD and the WAV files for like a year at that point. When we finally got the vinyl, and you just want to listen to it to make sure it actually does sound better. To hear the harmony vocal sections and how clear and good they sounded, they still sound good on like the WAV file and the CD, but it's just so much better. And this conversation I was having with this guy who was doubting me when I said that, I see his face making this, I don't quite believe you. You seem like you're full of shit looking face.
Sure.
I'm like, what, you don't believe me? Like, have you ever listened to them back to back? Because there really is a noticeable difference in quality. Now, why else would vinyl still be around now? You know?
And it's something physical that you can hold, Like when you download an album, you can't sit there and look at the booklet while you're taking a shit, but
Yeah.
you can on a vinyl pull out the lyric sleeve or whatever.
There's something that's really cool about vinyl that a lot of people just overlook. And it's just like the science of why vinyl sounds and how vinyl creates sound. And I think that's why you get a lot of particular sonic frequencies.
It's like an analog synthesizer versus a digital synthesizer. Old analog synthesizer is going to sound way better than some new digital one. The sound shaping through subtractive synthesis is, it may be cruder and less technology, but there's a pure sound through analog.
Yeah, I think it's what you're listening for as a fan of the music. And also too, I mean, you can play a record on like a crappy stereo and it's okay, well, it doesn't sound that good.
Yeah.
But if you listen to, a Spotify link through like some gnarly ass updated car system, it's like, whoa, this sounds really intense and heavy.
Yeah.
So there's always tons of variables, but with vinyl, there's just a capability for things to really shine if you're in the right setting. And for
Absolutely.
it to just sound like, especially if it's like pressed correctly and recorded, kept in mind, like all of the Mars Volta stuff sounds completely bonkers on record just because it was like recorded for that format. It's not all this like over compressed garbage. You know what I mean? It's just like people playing music. It sounds fucking sick.
Yeah. I mean, for someone not in the know, which was me a couple of years ago, because I had never put out a record, when Justin asked who should we get to master this, and I'm like, I don't know anything. And Justin's like, how about Jack and Dino? Like, what, the guy who recorded the first Soundgarden album and the second Nirvana album and High on Fire and Windhand, you can just get that guy? And he's like, yeah, he's paying him $300. I'm like, yeah, let's get that guy. So then he masters, a CD and WAV version, and then separately masters of vinyl. And we were just talking about, like, you can listen to an album on like not that great of a vinyl setup, and maybe it doesn't sound as good compared to something in a sick car stereo setup. I didn't really know this until recently that the speakers, like speakers for a vinyl system, are calibrated specifically for vinyl, which makes sense. If you don't, I just didn't think about it before. They're calibrated specifically for vinyl. So like, if you're just like using thrift store speakers hooked up to your turntable, and you're not getting really like an optimal experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like I have this old like it's like a big piece of furniture. You ever see those, like a huge
Yeah.
piece of furniture that has a record player in it, and it looks like a cabinet, but
Yeah.
it's just a record player with speakers. Those things sound amazing. Like, just completely fill my living room with just like really rich and complex
Mhm.
sound. It's
I think that the the action of just putting on music and listening to it in a house on a proper home stereo system is such a thing of the past nowadays. Everybody that I know has like, oh, I got this one Bluetooth speaker that's the
Yeah.
size of this pop
And
can.
they
And
sound like
it's
crap.
loud and it's like, it sounds fine, but it's like, no, come
Yeah.
over and like,
Like I
if you-
said, with putting on vinyl, it's almost like a ritual or something.
Yeah.
You know, you pull it out, you put the needle on, it makes some noise before you start spinning it.
yeah, it's abrasive. It's like
Yeah.
there's something happening here that's, you got to be really careful with it, or else you could fuck it up.
Yeah.
if you go over someone's house and they're putting on vinyl, even like you feel like you're experiencing something that's more than just like listening to some tunes thrown on the radio or
Yeah.
throwing on a
And you're
Spotify
somewhat
on your
forced
television.
to listen to a whole album too. It's not like you're gonna go up and skip the needle around.
no one's skipping tracks.
No.
Yeah, no one's skipping tracks at all.
Like I have the best sounding record that I own is I have a first pressing of Rage Against the Machine Evil Empire. It's the best sounding record I own.
Nice.
You put that thing on and it just sounds like they're in the room playing.
Yeah.
Like you feel like you're in there. It doesn't feel like, oh, I'm listening to something on a little speaker or in headphones. Like, no, it's like it engulfs you. The mix on that album is so bonkers.
I could see how that would be like a really good vinyl album because, well, they're a 3-piece, so you're getting so much of the full context of the tone and the pitch
And
and the
it's
guitars.
so clean. Like they have like pretty much all the guitar and bass are hard panned left and right.
Nice.
So it's such a weird thing. And then so you have like, drum center, guitar over here, bass over here, vocal center, but drums obviously panned out when necessary.
Yeah.
And that's what helps it sound like it's like engulfing you. Just this like really clean, less is more approach. Like we don't need to have a bunch of different layers and things like that. And I love production. I love studio production, magic, and all of those things. But just to like put that album on and just be like, yeah, kind of like the no bullshit approach, kind of like the opposite of that. Like these are, we're gonna play these fucking songs, we're gonna record them, no overdubs, no nonsense, just fucking play them, and it sounds killer. It's an excellent record.
That's yeah. I mean, that's going back a little bit to our bass player Justin Kizzy's mindset.
Yeah.
Which has value, which has great value. And I'm not trying.
more of like, let's fucking go in and like layer 12 guitar tracks.
Yeah. Mitch is like, hey, on our.
Let's throw a harmony on that.
Uh-huh.
Let's throw another harmony on that,
Yeah.
Mitch is like, at our record release, he's like, what if I bring like my Taylor stack and my my other orange stack? And
I
we
was
can
gonna
just
bring like 3 guitar amplifiers, and then
I'm like, Mitch, it's howlers, dude.
I was like, I don't have to turn them all on. They can just turn the pilot light on so people think they're on.
But when you're talking about the Rage Against the Machine album and how you feel like the music is like, how did you put it when it comes to feeling the music?
I think I may have said it engulfs you.
Yeah, it engulfs you. And that I like that a lot because that's an early thought that I had with Urns before we started playing shows is like I want it to be one of those bands that while you're watching and they just let a chord ring and you just feel the riffs wash over you, like you can physically feel the sound being pushed out of the amps. That's something that when I'm at a show that really shakes me and really like it gives me goosebumps. I'm invested, So I think producing that feeling of when you can actually feel the sound waves, but you also don't want it to be so loud that people are actually like being hurt.
Yeah, no, yeah. No, I think feeling is a really, really important part of songwriting and performance that a lot of people overlook.
Yeah.
And just like in terms of like listening to music, like if I'm listening to that Rage Against the Machine record, I can like feel the kick drum in my feet from the floor just kind of reacting from the speakers. And this is like, whoa, like this is cool. Like this is a thing that's I'm becoming part of this. Or if I'm at a show and like you feel that push from the guitar amps. You can like physically, like whenever like someone's checking a snare and it's like, I love that. Like, hell yeah. Fucking, we're going to do this. Like, let's fucking hear some shit.
Oh, someone's doing a mic check at Mr. Smalls and they're like, check, Millvale, check, Millvale. One of my favorite things is touring bands that play Mr. Smalls and address the crowd as Millvale.
Yeah.
Just say Pittsburgh.
Uh-huh.
We're all from Pittsburgh.
Millvale, Pennsylvania. No one from Millvale's actually here.
I think if you're from Washington, PA, people still say Pittsburgh.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and so you were just when we were just talking about physically feeling the music, and to address as many senses as possible for a performance is, I think, a pretty good strategy.
Yeah.
We joked about it a little bit doing our like dry run wrestling entrance because, dazzle people with the visuals. I need more skulls. There need to be more skulls.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's never enough skulls.
There's like almost enough. There just need to be a few more. So you get the visuals. Obviously, it's music, so sound. To feel the riffs wash over you. And Mitch was like, "We should burn some incest. Incest. Let's burn some incest.
Yeah.
We should burn some incense to force everyone to experience us in 4 different senses. I don't know how we'll do the taste though.
Oh, you got it. When you're walking out with the skull, you have to have like some wine in it or something.
Yeah, wine in the skull.
Drink from the skull.
Maybe
Initiate yourself.
figure out some sort of way to flavor smoke machine smoke or something.
Or just one giant vape.
Yeah. A vape instead of a smoke machine.
You could
I think
get
that's how it goes.
You could play on some like Christian satire, and you can make little cracker packs.
Oh yeah.
But they could be like have like your logo on them, and you can pass out the crackers
That's
as
a
you're
good
walking out.
idea. No, yeah. To do blasphemy about the Eucharist is definitely something I'm looking forward to doing in the future at some point.
We could probably get those made pretty cheap.
Yeah, they can't
Get
be.
Eucharist
Iron
made.
shape.
Hey,
It's just like Joy ice cream cones, I think.
well,
Just
no,
flat.
no,
Isn't
then
that
it's
what
just an ice cream cone. You have to,
I'm saying we'll just contact Joy and see who their supplier is.
but no, you need a priest to transubstantiate it into Christ's flesh. So, I mean, I don't think that's going to cut it, Mitch.
No, okay. We're just gonna use Glade plugins because the incense, there's no smoking in howlers, so we'll just get some Glade.
Hawaiian breeze.
Yeah. This is tropical doom metal that we're dealing with. But yeah, as far as the sense of taste, I have thrown candy out into an audience before in my old band. That actually was really popular, and I talked to someone after the show who was actually really disappointed that they didn't get any candy.
I saw a band on Halloween once that gave out treats, and they gave out a can of Schlitz, a pack of pumpkin seeds, and a little bag of candy corn. I mean, I think they made it.
We can
shitty
do
on
better than that.
purpose, That was at the Smiling Moose when they still had shows downstairs.
Yeah,
But that was
like
pretty exciting.
which was like 30 years ago, Mitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
I
not,
remember on the Smiling Moose when they used to have the shows
that was
downstairs
it.
and you didn't have to pay for them, and Scarfa had porno everywhere. Yeah, back in 2000 dickety 2.
yeah, it was probably back. No, because I was still in high school. It was probably 2006.
Yeah, like 2006, 7. Yeah. Yeah, we're old enough to remember when the Smiling Moose was cool.
You could smoke in there. That you couldn't get food there.
No, you could actually. You could get a toaster oven pizza from behind the bar.
Those are pretty good.
Those are pretty good.
Hell yeah. Shout outs to Party Pizza. And shout outs to Urns. We've hit our hour, so I'm thinking we could probably wrap. Is there anything you want to tell the people about? We already dropped the online stuff, but one more time, hit them. Where can they find that record?
You can buy it online at Urns PGH. Wait, no, is it Urns? Yeah, UrnsPGH.com. That's real. You can get the vinyl at Cruel Noise, Dave's Music Mine, or the Government Center. We have T-shirts also at Cruel Noise. The design is one of the big titty Sphinx statues from the mausoleum in the Allegheny Cemetery with some upside down crosses, some weed leaves. So if you're into that, we got those over at Cruel Noise. And we've got a show coming up September 13th with Whorehound, Truss, and Fuzznot, our dude Emilio of Fuzznot. And that's going to be at 222 Ormsby, a blast from the past.
Hell yeah. I love it.
I don't know what time that one is. Check the Facebook.
7 or 8 o'clock.
Facebook.com/Boo Urns Pittsburgh as well.
Hell yes. And that's all, folks.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks so much for being here. And thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed the conversation. One more time. Mike, Mitch, Urns. Woo. Cheers. Shout outs to sparkling water of the sober variety. No White Claws here today. I'll be back again next time, maybe with a White Claw. Who knows? We'll see what happens. Same time, same place, same channel. You know the drill. My name is Sykes. Start the Beat 2019. Woo, woo. Thanks for listening. And we are done. Cool.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.